It's time for the Brouhaha Sports Show. Brouhaha Sports with award-winning sports writer Dale McKee and co-host Marshall Wood. Talking sports with the legends of the game and famous sports personalities. Brouhaha! Now to Marshall and Dale with tonight's guest.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Brouhaha. Marshall Wood and Dale McKee ready to brouhaha a little bit. How you doing there, Dale?
Hey, I'm doing good today. How you doing?
I'll tell you what, I'm doing real good. I've had a good weekend of sports activity and all that kind of stuff. People getting in, seasons kicking off and all kind of stuff like that. And of course, we've got the sideline view that to look at and to consider today. I mean, big weekend. Anything stick out at you over the past weekend that you got in your sideline view you want to talk about?
Let me see. Stuck out the weekend.
Stuck out? What stuck out?
I saw something. I saw the SEC probably didn't do as well as they thought they could have, because I saw where California went to Auburn and won, and Arkansas State lost a heartbreaker at Oklahoma State, and Mississippi State, even though they tried to have a furious comeback, they did lose out to Arizona State.
Let's talk about that.
So, that was kind of a damper a little bit.
I thought, at first glance, I thought the State, they went out there, I thought they did pretty well. I get confused on a lot of those Western schools, Arizona State versus Arizona, and which one's the best and all that kind of stuff. But, State went out there on a big, long road trip their first time. That's not a bad outing, do you think?
No, it was, of course, it was a late game for State, maybe because I think it started, about 9:40, 9:45, something like that, our time, but it was 94 degrees out there at game time. And so that's got to, and I'm not sure how high temp is up in the air, but it could have been a little, I don't know. You know how it is when you go up somewhere like Wyoming and play, you have to Colorado, it's, Mile High Stadium up there,
Yeah.
So I don't know if that had anything to do with it all. All I know is in the first half, which I watched, and I really just kind of dozed off the second half. But the first half that I watched, the State was having trouble stopping the run.
Yeah.
But then they got a couple big, big plays there in the second half, and they were right back in the ball game. Finally ended up, I think they held Arizona State to a field goal in the second half, which was, they had a chance, but it shows me that the coaches, made some adjustments at halftime, inspired the kids a little bit, and I think State's going to win some ball games before it's over.
They scored 3 touchdowns. It was 30-3 late in the third, and they scored 3 touchdowns. I mean, the quarterback threw for 268. Smith led the Bulldogs' defense with 17 tackles. They came back big time there late. I mean, that's got to make you feel good if you're a Bulldog fan.
Sure, yeah. I mean, they just didn't roll over and play dead. Under a new coach, all you want them to be is competitive. And they're showing that they're going to be competitive this year. And so they've got Toledo, who is no pushover this week. They're one of those MAC schools. MAC schools play pretty good football.
Hey, Toledo's typically pretty good. Yeah, they are.
And then of course, not looking too much ahead, but the following weekend they host Florida, which they're going to have a chance to beat Florida, from which I've seen Florida do so far, So, they're going to be competitive against people like Florida.
Yeah.
And I think another game that really surprised me, really shocked me, South Carolina, who struggled in week 1 to barely beat East Carolina by 2 points, went into Kentucky and just rolled over the Wildcats, beat them 31-6. I mean, that was a shocker to me.
They was taking up for Southern Mississippi is what they was doing. They was
they were trying to get revenge and things like that. Of course, I thought Ole Miss, they did what they were supposed to do. They got out early, and of course, they had a good running game this week. They're noted for their passing game, but they can run the ball quite effectively too. And their defense held a second straight opponent without a touchdown.
Yeah.
Southern Miss had a little struggle down there against Southeast Louisiana in the probably the first three quarters, and then in the fourth quarter they got a defensive touchdown on Dylan Lawrence intercepted the pass and ran it back about 60-something yards, and then and then they got a good offensive, I guess, a drive going, and Todd Rodemaker, their quarterback had a really pretty good game for him. It's an average game.
Yeah.
But he's learning the system, and he's still a little bit uncomfortable. But I think Southern's, going to win a few more games than they won last year.
Well, I'm excited for them, and we need them to do that. I'm a Southern grad, and I'm pulling from a Golden Eagles. How about that John Cox, man? We've had him on the show here before, and look what he's gone and done. 500 Golden Eagle games.
500 games. That's a lot of ball games.
That's a lot of ball games. That's a lot of them.
He's been down there 47 years.
Yeah.
And that's not counting his 4 years in college down there.
Yes, right.
And,
right.
A lot of people don't know he's from Ohio, Milton, Ohio.
I didn't know that till you lined him up for us to talk to that time. Hey.
Yeah, that's a long way to migrate from Ohio down to Mississippi back in the 70s,
Yeah.
So, but we're glad to have him.
Glad to have him.
And of course, Mississippi's been blessed with some great sports announcers. Jack Crystal and David Kellum at Ole Miss, and even the one I used to love, Bill Grigorich and Stan Torgerson.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they were just great announcers,
They really were.
So we've been very blessed.
How about the Jackson State bunch up there romped over Lane College by a big score?
Yeah, they did, and they've got, of course, they started a new quarterback, and he did pretty well. And so, but they got their hands full this week. They got to go to Grambling, and Grambling is always going to be tough on the Tigers.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big matchup. That just got that way. They've been getting after it for decades, man. That's serious business.
Oh yeah.
Anything else here in your sideline view that you want to share with us before we take a break and get to our interview tonight?
Well, we got a big JUCO game coming up. Got a couple of them, I think, this week. We got Northwest is coming down to East Mississippi, and they're both powerhouses.
Yeah.
Up there in the north, every year they battle it out. I think Holmes is going to be a dark horse up there in the north this year. Holmes Community College. So I think they're going to they may have a say in that. And in the south, well, it looks like Jones is going to go to Gulf Coast Saturday night, and that's always a big one for, as Coach Buckley is going to say on the show later, they're all big, but, there's just something special about the Jones and Gulf Coast rivalry.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, on that note, Dale, let's take a break to hear from our sponsor, and then we'll come back with tonight's guest. And I believe you have told me that is head football coach for Jones College, Steve Buckley. Is that who we got tonight?
That's who we have.
All righty. Well, let's not put that off anymore. That'll be a good one. So let's take a break, and Dale and I will be back with tonight's guest, head coach, Jones College football, Steve Buckley. See you right after the break.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome to the show, JC football coach Steve Buckley. Coach, welcome to the show again. We've had you on a couple times in the past, and we welcome you again. Now, Coach Buckley, you've played 2 games. Tell us about your first game against Mississippi Delta. Was that a revenge game for them beating y'all last year?
Well, Dale, first of all, thanks for having me on. I always enjoy visiting with y'all each year. It's always the way you kind of get everything kicked off. You get to be on y'all's show. But, no, it was not a revenge game, Dale. I don't believe in that. I think you take last year was a 23 team. This is a 24 team. We've got 28 kids back from that team, and we got 37 kids that had no idea about that game last year. So I'm sure for the ones that played it in that game, it was probably something in their craw a little bit. But no, I didn't approach it that way, and I told the kids early on it was not going to be a revenge game. Delta beat us last year. We went on the field, shook their hands, and got ready for the next one. And it was just a game that we felt like we, had an opponent coming in that was very athletic, and we had to be mentally and physically prepared for.
What did you think that you played overall for a first game? Was it to your liking?
I think you go into the first game with so many unknowns. You don't have film on the opponent. You don't know if their coaching schematically has changed any scheme-wise. So you prepare for a lot of stuff. You try to keep it as simple as you can. And breaking in, 37 guys that have not played in a junior college football game is a little bit of a challenge sometimes. But, I thought, I know our philosophy, we're going to try to play everybody. I believe this. I've always believed it. We're a developmental program. You got to get them in here and get them developed quickly. And the only way you can develop them is get them on the field. And, one thing that we do, we try to require coaches to play everybody, not just in a insignificant situation. But I think it probably does hurt us sometimes early in the season. But, the only way they're going to get experience is to get in there. And I thought we handled it well. I thought there was a lot of things to clean up after the first week. I thought, we showed flashes of things we think we can be. And at the same time, I thought Delta was an athletic football team that caused you problems just going into the unknowns and their athleticism. But I thought overall, you're judged by the final score, and I thought at the end we did what we needed to do to win the ball game.
All right. Did you, the old football saying, you make your most improvement between the first and second game? Did you see that against Oklahoma?
Well, and it's funny you say that because I talked to my team about that after the Delta game. I think that a team that's going to be good does make improvement between the first and second game. And last night after our game against Oklahoma, I did not feel that way. After I've been in this morning and we've watched the film, it was a lot cleaner than it appeared on the field. I felt like offensively we did not convert third downs. And third downs, your money down. And I just felt like we didn't do a good job of executing our third down. If you look back at the game, we were not in a lot of third and longs. We were in a lot of third and mediums. And usually we've been good at that. But for whatever reason, we had a couple injuries here and there. No excuses on that. But we didn't execute third down like we're capable of. But I thought offensively we were clean. You look at the stat numbers, and you didn't have the yards you wanted and all that. It was a nasty night. I get all that, but I thought, overall, we were clean up front. I didn't think we threw and catch the ball very well. We dropped 3 passes. I just felt like we didn't have enough explosive plays offensively, and we did not convert third downs. Defensively, get off the field. We gave up a few third downs, but I thought we got some young kids playing. Everybody's playing hard. Special teams were big last night. We had a block punt. We had a punt return for a touchdown. So those things always, give you something to get going on. But I thought our kids played hard, really, really hard last night. Played a lot of. I think everybody on the team played last night. Quality snaps. So, right now you just got to sit back and keep evaluating your first 2 games. And my philosophy, let's focus on us right now. See if we can get better, especially early in the season.
So, what is your take as you go on into the Gulf Coast game? What are you still working on yourselves, or are you more, looking at?
Well, obviously, we're waiting on their film to get put in. Everybody puts their film in, but we don't have their film yet, so we're sitting here at 11 o'clock on Friday morning waiting for their film to get in. I tell you right now, this weekend the focus is going to be on us. What can we do from our first 2 games to clean up some things? And obviously you'll get into game planning more this afternoon, try to finish it up Saturday. And obviously you'll have a specific game plan for a specific opponent. And, it's another game. Obviously it's a big game. It's our first conference game or South Division game. They're 2-0, we're 2-0. So, I'm not going to take that lightly. I feel like there's a lot of there's a lot on the line at this game, but, one game doesn't make or break your season, but I feel like we'll be ready to play Thursday night.
Well, the first weekend, reflecting back on the first weekend of the whole junior college season there, Gulf Coast went up there, and I don't know if it was an upset or not, but they defeated East Mississippi. And then you had Pearl River upsetting Northwest. When you saw those scores, did it surprise you in any way of either of those results?
Dale, it really did. Nothing surprises me anymore in this league. Everybody has players. I mean, the league is equally balanced from top to bottom. I think you don't see, the teams that finish 1 and 2 just dominating like it was maybe 8 years ago when I got in the league. I think you see a lot of balance. I think the portal's changed that a lot. I think you're seeing a lot more high school kids in the league than you were in the past. We've increased our numbers to 15 out-of-staters. So we got 45 Mississippi kids, 15 out-of-staters. You don't see a lot of drop-downs anymore coming from Division I. Everybody gets a few here and there, but you're mostly dealing with high school kids that are out-of-staters now. But no, it did not surprise me. Nothing surprised me. I think anybody can beat anybody on any given night. That's the hard thing about coaching in this league. You better be ready to play every week.
Now, besides Gulf Coast, you got a pretty good stretch coming up here, don't you? About 3 or 4 really tough South Division games.
To be honest with you, Dale, let me look at the schedule. I don't even know who we play after that, to be honest with you. We got Colin, and we got Holmes, and we got an open date.
Yeah.
So, we got – and again, I don't look at it that way. I really don't. It's about preparing yourself mentally every week, physically every week to be the best you can be. Mm-hmm. One phrase I use with my kids a lot is compete against yourself. Don't worry about what the guy behind you or next to you is doing. Compete against yourself to be the best version of you that you can be as a football player, as a student. Just try to be as good as we can be, because I think it goes back to recruiting. If you recruit the right kind of kids that have athletic ability, I think you're going to be successful, and I think we've done that. I just like to see some of these young puppies grow up a little bit, and I had to remind the coaches this morning, we get frustrated with some of the youngsters sometimes, but this was their second college football game. And, you play that many new kids in a program, you're going to have some immaturity, you're going to have some mistakes that can cost you, but what you try to do is clean that up.
Coach, this is Marshall. I'm going to kind of change lanes on you for a minute. Every time we turn on the TV, we watch a game day and all this kind of stuff, we hear them talking about transfer portals and NILs. And you mentioned the portal a while ago, and I understand how that's affecting high school kids. But do you have to deal with that with your roster? Is that something that you face? Kids maybe leaving through do you have to deal with that?
I think no. I don't have to deal with it with kids leaving here. Our national office is getting to that point. I can see it coming, and it's absolutely insane in my opinion. Y'all know me. I'm gonna say what I think. I don't like the portal the way it's set up for 4-year kids. And when it becomes a junior college portal, you're going to see a huge mess. No, we don't have to deal with it. We look at the portal, we watch the portal, but it's not real complicated. When a kid enters the portal from a 4-year school, I mean, obviously he has dreams and aspirations of going to a bigger 4-year school. Right. Let's just call it what it is, and they're not interested in a junior college drop-down. By the time those thousands of kids clear the portal, because every Division I school has a recruiting office that all they're doing is watching the portal, and they spend hours upon hours researching it. At the end, when there's somebody left in the portal, I think there's a reason he's in the portal at the end. And that reason probably is not real good. Again, I think every individual is specific, and those things are different. But, I'm not sitting there digging in that portal, to be honest with you, to see what I can find at the end. Yeah. I'd rather set my roster and know what I'm getting.
Yes, sir.
Well, let me give you an example, and you tell us how you would do this. If you got a really good guy, say in this area in the Laurel Ellisville area that's really good, but he's already committed to go to an SEC school. Do you even talk to him because he could come back one day to you? or do you how do you handle
You know,
it?
and I'm gonna be very honest with you. I do not recruit kids that have Division I offers. We spend a lot of time and a lot of energy. Do we introduce ourselves to them, tell them they have an offer here? Yes, we do. But recruiting is year-round now. I mean, you're constantly, assistant coaches, myself, are on the phone during the week calling kids, just touching base. It's become a year-round deal. But you know, I found that when a kid has Division I offers, you're going to waste a lot of time that you don't have. And you know, your roster is set with numbers, and our number is 60. And yes, to a certain extent, we may touch base with them, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time recruiting a kid with a Division I offer. And here's the catch to it, too, to be honest with you. Everybody offers everybody now. So you don't know if the offers are committable. Or, I mean, the proper term is committable offers. I call them, they're not a real offer. You know, sometimes people just offer to offer. We get a lot of schools from outside of Mississippi that come in here and just offer kids that they're not even going to go back on those kids ever again and then follow up with it. So it is a kind of a catch-22 for us. But, you know, I tell our coaches all the time, trust your evaluation. When we watch a kid, whether we have him in camp, or we watch his highlight tape or game film or see him in person, trust your own evaluation. We try not to get caught up in who's offered who. You know, you got some colleges, junior colleges in the state, all they do is they watch who certain schools offer, then they offer them. I see it all the time. If I ever get to that point, it's time to get out of this business. We take recruiting very serious. It's very important who we bring into our program for a lot of reasons. But, yeah, it's just kind of how we do it here. That makes sense.
It does, Coach. And we're getting close to our time. I want to ask you one more question. And say you're sitting here and you got maybe some high school football players listening. What would you tell kids that are aspiring, you know, to move on to the next level, might come through your spot, may go somewhere else? What would you tell kids to prepare them for the process of recruitment?
Well, number one, I think you have to be patient, especially high school kids. It's not fair anymore. Yeah. But I tell my kids this too. Guess what? Life's not fair. And the older you get, the more you're going to understand that life's not fair. But I think high school kids are at a great disadvantage right now because of the transfer portal. I really do. And I get it from the four-year schools too. I mean, they're fighting for jobs. You know, your job is on the line. And whether you got a contract for 4 years with a year left on it or 3 years with a 2-year left, you're still fighting for your job. So you're trying to get the best team available, and everybody now thinks older means better. I don't necessarily think older means better, but I would tell a high school kid, look, if you dream of playing college football, number one, be patient. Number two, be the best version of you that you can be. There's an old saying, the eye in the sky does not lie. What you put on film is who you are. We can cut it, we can slice it, but whatever you put on film is who you are. And when you play, make sure that you're doing everything possible to be the best version of you that you can be. And then if the opportunity to go Division I does not work out, find a junior college that you know has had success getting kids to the next level. You know, I tell recruits this all the time, I cannot get you to the next level. My coaches, myself, we know a lot of Division I coaches. We cannot get you. It just starts all over. What you put on film is who you are. We can say everything we want about you, but they're going to evaluate you. So just be ready for a real evaluation and make sure you're doing everything possible as a student athlete. You know, in the classroom, in the weight room, and on the field. Yeah.
Well, there you go, kids out there listening. Yeah, you know. But Coach, we're out of time. We appreciate so much you being with us again. What you mean to our area and our communities, we're thankful for you. We're going to ask you to hold on for a minute. Dale and I are going to break for a commercial break and we'll be back with tonight's final segment of the Brouhaha after this word from our sponsors.
Phillips Building Supply in Laurel, your hometown building supply store since 1954. We are locally owned and pride ourselves on helping our customers find exactly what they need. From foundations to roofs to doors and windows, Phillips has it. For tools, hardware, lumber, and plywood, visit Phillips Building Supply.
Welcome back, everybody. I tell you what, he's easy to talk to, isn't he, Dale, that Coach Buckley?
Oh yeah, he does a good job down there. I like what it said in the show, where he says if you come to Jones, he's gonna play you.
Yeah.
Because he wants to put you on tape, so you go to the next level if you want to go. But the tape don't lie. The tape don't lie.
That's right.
Used to be called film. Now it's called tape.
Called tape,
So,
I guess. Is
anyway.
it? Is it?
I don't know anymore. Hey.
Well, I'm looking around here at what may or may not be a top 20, top 25. I'm looking at one here and kind of seeing how some folks. I tell you what, of course, Georgia. They did what they Ohio State and the Western Michigan, blah blah blah. Now, Texas to Michigan, that was a big game this weekend, and I'm telling you what, them Horns, boy, whoo, they wore Michigan out, didn't they?
They did. I keep telling folks, Oklahoma and Texas, they didn't come just to be part of it. They came to win it. So,
well, I'm gonna tell you,
they got oil wells. They got oil wells.
and money. Yeah. Show me the money. Well, Texas,
Yeah, they want a quarterback at those schools, and they just drive them out there. And they said, a lot of colleges say this is your Coke machine. You can empty it every week. Out there in Texas, they just take you to oil well. This is your oil well, son.
Oh.
Hey.
Let's see. Well, Texas did go out there and beat them, like a drum, 31-12. And I told you, Quinn Ewers, I followed this kid. He was a big deal in high school, and he did the deal where he went up to Ohio State and all that kind of stuff for winning his senior year in high school. And, I thought he was squirrely, but I like that kid. And he is they say he's a generational talent. But you know what impressed me? He was up at Michigan at the game. After the game, I read an article where a young Michigan fan came up to him and wanted to have his picture made with him. And his daddy, not the Michigan kid's daddy, told his kid to do a horns down, disrespect him, and he did that, And Quinn, of course, didn't say anything about it. He just excused himself, but I thought that showed a little bit about that. He's willing to take a picture with a kid from a different team, and the kid disrespects, and he just handled that perfectly. I've been impressed with Ewers. What do you think about that guy?
Well, I really didn't say. I didn't see that, and but I just know he's a great talent on the field.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people were disappointed when the game was out of control and they didn't play Arch Manning. But I don't know what if they'd have done, because supposedly Cooper went out there and put Texas flags on top of one of the hotels there that he was staying in Ann Arbor. So I don't know how they would agree with Arch Manning, up there when he walked on the field. But, I think the coaches, a lot of times the coaches say, okay, I don't want quarterback controversy.
Yeah.
I may just not play him this week because, hey, I got my quarterback. This is who I feel comfortable with. I don't want to start anything that when things go bad, I've got to replace him, and be forced to because of public pressure,
Yeah.
And, he'll get to play plenty this week. I think they're playing something like UT, San Antonio.
They are. That's who they play.
One of those.
Yeah, UTSA.
Yeah, so Arch will get his playing time this week. So I don't. If you're a Texas fan, don't worry about Arch. Arch is gonna get his playing time.
He's gonna get plenty of it before he finishes. You might have saw him week before last, man. He looked pretty doggone good. Let me ask you this: Alabama. Alabama 42-16 over South Florida. People fussing at Alabama. Hey, that's what they always do. I'd say that's right on schedule for Alabama. I think they ought to be real pleased with that win, don't you?
Well, they should have after last year, because they went down there and just had a terrible game. I think they won 17-3. But I'll be honest with you, I kept flipping channels. I was watching the Southern game, and I was watching Alabama play too. But Alabama, they just they had a late start there. I mean, they got started late because it's a pretty close game going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And then there's a little 17-year-old freshman that they got out of Saraland, Ryan Williams, who I had the pleasure of watching last year in Hattiesburg at the Mississippi-Alabama game. And he's fast now, I'm telling you.
Pick them up and put them down, buddy. Pick them up and put them down.
Scoot down. And he broke it open with a touchdown run, and
I tell you,
put on the burst of speed there at the end. They couldn't catch him.
He could really go.
So that's quite impressive, But Alabama's going to be okay.
Yeah, they'll be all right.
So they got a tough one this week. They got to go to Wisconsin. They're going to kick off at 11 a.m. So
I believe they'll be
about the time.
I believe they'll be
when they play on the road this week.
Yeah. I was going to ask you one more thing. I'll tell you just a little quick and we'll move on. I was looking at Oregon. They're 2-0, but I tell you what, I think they've somewhat, in my mind, underperformed so far, the Ducks. What are you thinking about the Ducks so far?
Well, if you look at the scores, I haven't seen them play.
Yeah.
If you look at the scores, you would, get that feeling, like what's going on here.
Yeah.
And so, but they lost a pretty good quarterback last year, So
yeah, that's true.
They just may have a little time.
A coach.
They may have a little time to get used to that, offense for the new guy, Yeah.
Well, switch venues on you a minute. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark have been much discussed through the course of the year at the WNBA. And, they say, a lot of people saying Caitlin Clark, WNBA Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, whatever. Well, some say Angel Reese. It looks like Miss Reese has been injured. I read an article this morning where she's out for the rest of the year. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yes, sir.
I didn't read that news this morning.
Yeah.
Evidently, I'm kind of a working man. I don't have time to read papers in the morning.
Oh, I hear you. But let me tell you what happened. She hurt her wrist, and that's cut her season short. Yes, sir. She's out for the year. I believe she may have to have it operated on, but anyway, that's tough for her. She's had a great season, but that may open the path even more clearly for Caitlin Clark to be the Player of the Year or whatever they're going to call her. But let's see, I had something else I wanted to throw at you, Dale, but I really can't remember what it was. Oh, I know what it was. The kickoffs. We've read about it, the new kickoff rules in the National Football League. And I'd read about it and looked at the diagrams of it, but seeing it, I kind of liked it, Dale. And we had the St. Louis Cardinals ran one of those back for a touchdown this past week.
St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, they
baseball
have
team?
you no have you not the Cardinals, we're Arizona Cardinals. Have you seen do you know anything about the new kickoff rules, or you just gonna be a jerk and call me out?
No, I'm willing to give it a chance. It's interesting. I didn't get to watch much NFL football yesterday.
Yeah.
My wife had some stuff for me to do, so I was unavailable for the television.
Unavailable. You got to learn to put your foot down, Dale.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking, I need to take control of the situation, but I'm kind of scared of it.
Hey,
So,
can't be too careful, brother. Can't be too careful. Dale, we about out of time. Anything you want to leave us with? A pearl of wisdom you got for us? I know you got a really special pearl of wisdom you want to throw out there before we sign off. What you got? Hit me with something wonderful.
Goodbye, Dale.
That's about right. Well, we're going to take that and run with it. And Dale's already given me the line here. We've had a good time. We appreciate you, Steve Buckley, being with us tonight. And listen, I've enjoyed our visit, Dale, and our chats as always. We'd like to thank our listeners for joining in and remind you can follow us on Facebook at the Brouhaha, or see all of our shows or hear all of our shows cataloged on our YouTube channel, the Brouhaha. But as Dale has mentioned, it's time to say goodbye, Dale.
Goodbye, Dale.
And we'll see you next week for more of the Brouhaha. Get us out of here, Jamie.
You've been listening to the Brouhaha with Dale McKee and Marshall Wood. Heard Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on WABO. For more of the Brouhaha, follow us during the week on Facebook and WABO.